Alright guys, let's do this thing. I'm John Rentham with my review of AEW Dynamite, and I want to make one thing clear before I really get into this review. From the first announcement to the press conferences, the pay-per-view, the announcement of the TNT deal, wrestling being back on Turner Networks, Tony Schiavone being back announcing wrestling on TNT, how fucking cool is that? I mean, Turner allowing wrestling back on there, granted, it's gone through some regime changes, but still, it's really cool. Hit all the nostalgia veins. They have the money from the son of a billionaire. That's really goddamn cool. They have every available resource, a roster full of young people, and some veterans that still have something to offer, and some veterans that should be out of the goddamn ring, and don't worry, I'm going to rant about them plenty here in a bit, but they have every available resource, and I gave them plenty of time and plenty of slack, because even from the first pay-per-view, they still had a couple pay-per-views and specials and everything before their TNT deal kicked in. And once it kicked in, okay, took a bit of time for them to set that and find the format. And they put on some good episodes of Dynamite, some great episodes of Dynamite, and some great pay-per-views, even with the stuff that I don't like, because you're going to have, stumbles, and there's going to be shit on every show that not every fan likes. That's just how it works, because wrestling is a variety show. I'm done giving them slack now. If they put on a great show, I'm calling it great. If they put on a different show, I'm just going to say, show is what it is. But guess what? In the case of this show, it was the worst episode of Dynamite in its short history, bar none. Now, if you guys disagree, let me know in the comments. And I'm not saying you guys couldn't have enjoyed this. I did not enjoy this. It's not that every single thing was bad, but guess what? Enough of the stuff was absolute shit that it buried any of the stuff that was even kind of okay. And that's inexcusable. That's inexcusable for any wrestling show with all these available resources. And I say the same thing about WWE. Raw's an unwatchable show. NXT is really not all that great. SmackDown is somewhat of a sports-based product, at least as much of a sports-based product as you're going to get with Vince McMahon's, promotion behind it, because Vince McMahon's a really out-of-touch old man. But anyway, the whole point is I can be critical of any brand. I've been critical of New Japan, and that's what I wanted AEW to be, an American version of New Japan. And guess what? It wasn't. It wasn't that. This was so late WCW-like that it was so fucking messy, and it wasn't even good messy. It was really goddamn bad. We start off pretty decent. -1's birthday celebration. Brody's kid, in the Dark Order mask. The Dark Order have the crowd sing happy birthday, and that's great. You know what? It's good for the kid. I'm worried that we're delving a bit into exploitation. I hope I'm wrong. The family seems on board, and as long as the kid's having fun, that's fine. But I'm a little bit worried that if we keep doing this stuff, that's going to get into exploitation territory. And I'd say the same thing no matter what company did it. But seems like the kid's having fun. I don't know who let Luther talk. I don't think that was a very good idea. But this is because -1 had got a promo on him. The Dark Order will always beat you. You look stupid chance. TH2 joins the fray, and then Page comes in and dives on everybody. And we get an 8-man tag. Adam Hangman Page. The question was, would Page join the Dark Order? Teaming up with Colt Boom Boom Cabana, Silver, and Reynolds versus TH2 and Chaos Project. Oh yeah, the cake, says JR, because the birthday cake was still out there on the table. This is a mess. A bunch of dives, a bunch of everything. I'm not even knocking the Dark Order as workers. There's no way they can be heels anymore. You have to keep them as baby faces. After all this stuff that happened, Brody Lee's tragic passing being taken away from everybody, but especially his family, way, 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 way too soon. He will be sorely missed. And it's absolutely fucking horrifying that he passed away as suddenly as he did. And no child should have to grow up without their parent, especially a child that young. Just good grief. But as far as this match, it was so messy. Luther at one point was out by the table. -1 canes him and he falls into the cake. And then we get the buckshot lariat, jackknife pin, 1, 2, 3. Serpentico gets pinned. Then he gets caned in the head. And then -1 says, by the way, my birthday was 3 days ago, you idiots. It kind of reminded me of when The Rock said Mankind during the whole This Is Your Life thing. The Rock's birthday is May 2nd, you son of a bitch. And Page refuses to join, but then they have this big old celebration graphic thing like, oh, he said yes, and he's like, no, I've done the group thing before, and I just can't. He leaves and grabs the bottle. He's back on the bottle. Okay? I didn't care about this before. I didn't think it helped Adam Hangman Page, and guess what? It ain't going to help him here. This isn't really a good idea. It's just not. At least to me. And I'm not talking about Page joining the Dark Order or teaming with the Dark Order. I'm saying continuing the drinking thing. It didn't make me any more sympathetic towards Page. It ain't going to help now. And then we get MJF to Marvez. This is actually what he said. He says, your breath smells like, smells worse than rats having an orgy in a microwave. That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. That was a bright spot on this show. And that him and Jericho will be the next tag team champions. Jericho physically looks like shit and sounded goddamn winded doing this promo. So then we get Shivani bringing out Sting and Darby. Sting, his multi-year full-time deal to do what? He congratulates Darby and he wanted to give him a fair fight. And then Team Taz is on the screen. I grew up on the streets. Taz is saying that he grew up. He can barely fit in the land of Oz. How in the world could he have grown up? And Darby, God damn it. He challenges Darby and Sting to a street fight, essentially. Take it to the street. So we're going to get a cinematic match. They're going to get Sting in a match. Sting with his bad neck and the fact he's 61 years old, and this is what they're bringing him here for. I'm not saying that Sting doesn't have value as a name, but to put him in a match, no. He shouldn't have even been in any matches in 2013, let alone 2021, with a bad fucking neck. Even if he got, surgery on his neck, and even if he's good, guess what? He's still 61 years old with a surgically repaired neck. It's a bad idea. And Darby says, be careful what you wish for, because it just might happen. Great, we're going to get Sting wrestling. I'm sorry, but I didn't want to see Sting really wrestle in WWE because they essentially just ruined him. They did. They just brought him in there just to have him job, which is pretty fucking embarrassing. I don't think this is going to turn out all that good. We get the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker package. 2 weeks at Beach Break. That might be kind of good. Marvez talks to the Bucks it's an elite meeting at Kenny Omega's house. This is one of the worst segments I've ever fucking seen. At least on AEW television. The Bucks, I don't care for the Bucks. They aren't the best tag team in the world in my personal opinion, but that's just me. Some people like them. Some people think they're great, and that's fine if you guys think that. If you guys enjoyed this segment, that's fine. I don't need to see any more Don fucking Callis on my television in 2021. Don Callis was an annoying little dweeb, an annoying little stupid bitch back in 2001. Why the hell would I want to see him on a program 20 fucking years later? He's half as good as he thinks he is. At least he was back in 2001. Now he's 5% as good as he thinks he is. He's not charismatic. He's not interesting. He's not helping me hate Kenny Omega anymore. I never wanted to see Don Callis on a mainstream wrestling broadcast, and I know that he did commentary for New Japan, and he fucking brought it down every goddamn time he was there. He makes Gino Gambino, who actually, Gino Gambino isn't all that bad. He makes him seem good by comparison, because at least Gino actually, tries to put people over. What does Don Callis do? No, he puts himself over. That's all he ever fucking does. And he's like, oh, well, you guys are big merch guys. Here, let me write you checks. Oh, wait, I forgot to fucking mention the Bucks go in and they see this freaking, Dorian Gray-like painting here, of Callis and Omega shirtless and ripped. What in the name of Castlevania was that goddamn portrait? What the fuck was this shit? This was fucking abysmal. He's writing them checks. Oh, well, I forgot to write the merch check because you guys are big merch guys and everything. And this is just, why don't you just freaking just jerk each other off on goddamn camera? Seriously. Like, what was this? This was more ego stroking than Cody's goddamn intro. And that's saying something. This was abysmal. The Bucks are trying to act all emotional. You can't buy out a 12-year-old friendship. And then they tear the checks, and then he calls them blood suckers and leeches, and then it's inspired that they beat his ass. Now, obviously they didn't. He probably faked them beating his ass just to drive a wedge between Kenny and the Bucks. This was fucking atrocious. Absolutely goddamn atrocious. Next man, Cody's entrance is so over the top and ego-stroking. Cody versus Pretty Peter Avalon. Okay, let me say right now that I understand what they were trying to do here, but Peter Avalon would be a great manager. He's not a bad wrestler, but I didn't buy this for a second. Jade's music hits. She comes out and distracts. Avalon hits a low blow. And this is after Cody had hit a crossroads, and then Jade's music hits. And then we get a superplex by Avalon. We get a break eventually. Like, they pitch to the break, and then it's like a minute and a half later that we go to the break. And then we get a single crab during the break. He misses the moonsault. We get a bag leapfrog spot where Cody's selling his knee and then not selling his knee. Peter doesn't want to get hit in the face, so he gets a Cody cutter, figure four countered, but he doesn't want to get slapped in the face, so he taps out. There you go. That's what it is right there. It wasn't that it was terrible, but it's just this. Cody should have not had to have sold anything for Peter Avalon, who has only won a few matches on Dark. That's not saying much because Dark really isn't all that great. It's not bad, but half the audience that watches Dynamite watches Dark. And Dynamite's audience is a lot lower than it used to be, and that's really goddamn sad. They should be doing over 1 million viewers like every single week. They haven't grown their audience, and if they grow it, it drops right back down. We didn't get Tully and FTR. We need the belts, Tully says. And then Jurassic Express show up. Unfortunately, Marco Stunt does too. If Stunt wasn't there, this wouldn't have been bad. Jungle Boy says, hey, I could beat either one of you guys. That's what last week's match taught me. Dax versus Jungle Boy next week. Okay, that might not be that bad. Leave Marco Stunt at home. Or just backstage. Anyway, Jon Moxley versus Nick Comoroto. Mox had was very aggressive here. It's his first match since December 2nd. And Nick has some impressive power, has been impressive on Dark. I didn't mind this. This wasn't that bad. He got to, get in some good shots. Mox with some heavy kicks and eventually got a rear naked choke for the win. Not a bad match. Effective for what it is. And then he says anything can happen on Wednesday Night Dynamite. Anything can happen on Monday Night Raw. Anyway, I can't keep track of who's in the Bullet Club or Impact or whatever. And all you did was make it more fun, more bodies, more necks to break, more. Moxley can cut really good promos, and this was really good stuff. But then we go to Dasha with Eddie's group. Now, this wasn't that bad. Eddie's talking about taking on Archer. Here's Archer and Jake. And Jake and Eddie have a bit of a verbal one-on-one, just briefly. But it is what it is. Who told Omega that purple shirt and those pants and those shoes were a good idea? And he's going to greet... Marvez, by the way, was all over this goddamn show. Omega's like, wait, what happened to your eye? What happened to your eye? How did I not know this? I don't possess the ability to apparently see behind sunglasses until it's too late. Oh, the Bucks beat you up? We're going to have to take care of that. Omega cannot act for goddamn shit. The greatest wrestler in the world, that is? Not to me. He's had some great matches, but he ain't the greatest wrestler in the world. So, yeah, Callis. Why was Callis so orange, by the way? Is Callis a Trumper? Oh, don't worry. I'm going to talk about somebody here in a little bit that is. Why was Callis so orange? Who told him that makeup was a good idea? Seidel and Top Flight versus Private Hardy Party. It's 2 mats on opposite sides, and 1 mat is completely washed, and it is Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is done. He cannot go anymore. This match, why bother with tags? Why bother with anything? I think Top Flight actually have great potential. Private Party, I don't think really should be heels. I'm not saying that they don't have the ability to pull it off, but with Matt Hardy, I don't think this is going to work. It was just flippy shit, zero psychology, which I don't usually mind if I see it on the indies or if I see it in 90s WCW. But right here, I need a little bit of psychology, and really, there wasn't a lot. Cassidy did use a chair. Quen hit a shooting star press, 1, 2, 3. So there you go. Okay, you got that. One of the Top Flight members. I don't remember. I gotta start remembering. I think it was a younger one. But anyway, so it looks like Quen was happy in that Private Party are embracing this heel side. So I fully expect by Revolution they turn on Hardy, and then they have to earn their freedom by beating him in singles matches on Dynamite. Watch that happen. Or watch them do it before Revolution. But anyway, heel Private Party, I mean, it's because of the Impact partnership. I think they're going after Gallows and Anderson. I don't watch Impact. I'm not going to watch Impact anymore. But if you guys do, that's fine. MJF and Wardlow talk to the rest of the Inner Circle. Let's get this out of the way and finish this. Layla Hirsch versus Penelope Ford with Kip, Miro, and Chuck, or rather Charles Taylor. It's supposed to be Layla versus Nyla Rose. Nyla came into contact with somebody with the virus. Hopefully she is okay. Hopefully she quarantines and is safe and sound. And whoever she came in contact with, hopefully they're okay. Layla Hirsch versus Penelope Ford. Layla Hirsch is a star. They should sign her. She is really goddamn good. Penelope has improved. This is a showcase for Layla, though. And the numbers game kept, getting in Layla's way. And eventually, even though she had her foot on the rope, Kip found a way to keep her down, get the foot off the rope 1, 2, 3. So Penelope gets the victory. And then, I might, you know what? I gotta crumple this up. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave that over there because I might do something else. Hey, Miro says to Charles, I'm a nice guy. Tell Orange Cassidy, though, that I'm your best friend now. Look at me. I'm your best friend now. And then he says that. Who cares about this feud? I don't. Cut to the Good Brothers beating up Pentagon Jr. while Omega does something. And then we get a boot in Penta's eye. Ow, my eye. I'm not supposed to get boots in it. Next week, Kingston versus Archer. Cody responds to Shaq about 18 years too late. Dax versus Jungle Boy. Bucks and Good Brothers versus Dark Order. So now the Bucks and the Good Brothers are teaming up, despite being at odds with Omega. Okay. psychology and storytelling. I don't care about the Bullet Club. I haven't cared about the Bullet Club in a number of years, despite the fact there are some good members in the New Japan version, the real Bullet Club. And then Beach Break in 2 weeks, Rosa vs. Britt, Tag Team Battle Royal for a shot at Revolution, and coming soon, the Women's Title Eliminator Tournament. And they meshed up Jericho and MJF's themes. Sammy Hagar, Sammy Guevara, and Jake Hager versus Santana and Ortiz versus MJF and Jericho. Jericho is fucking washed and a goddamn idiot, and I wonder if he was a step off because his precious president, elected, failed to win the election that he donated $40,000 to, lost, and maybe that threw him off. Maybe he decided to drink a little bit too much of the bubbly, and maybe that's why he was a step off, or rather, maybe 12 steps off. Take a look at him trying to do that moonsault. He can't fucking go anymore. He's fucking washed. He is exactly what he accused the WCW guys of being, the main eventers. Oh, they were just there to collect a paycheck and keep, a top spot and everything and keep the young guys down. I'm not saying that Jericho hasn't tried to help young people, but guess what he hasn't done? He hasn't helped anybody get over. Did he help Orange Cassidy? Is Orange Cassidy better off now than he was before he feuded with Jericho? No. And I don't care for Orange Cassidy, but I don't think he's much better off. There's everybody that's doing, everybody that Jericho has interacted with has basically turned out worse. And that's since he lost the championship. Now, even before that, there were hints of a little bit of goofiness, but he was playing it seriously. I didn't mind the stuff with Matt Hardy's drone. That was kind of amusing. But then he kept doing it. He's kept doing it. Chris Jericho, by the way, and outside the ring, is a fucking joke. He's a fucking dweeb. He's a fucking conspiracy theorist. He believes all this, Q bullshit. He's a goddamn moron. Fuck Chris Jericho, by the way. Just want to say that right now. I regret ever saying that Chris Jericho was going to be one of the greatest of all time. Or is he's definitely not the greatest of all time, but that he's managed to reinvent himself. Yeah, now he's reinvented himself into somebody's drunk uncle, a drunkle, if you will, that decides to, try and be a wannabe rock star, an aging rock star that can't fucking cut anymore. He can't cut in the ring. He can't cut it singing anymore. He can't cut it on the mic. He can't fucking cut it. His commentary is just him screaming. He's the angry man that yells at clouds. That's all he fucking is. All Chris Jericho is the has-been kid that he accused Shawn Michaels of being in their 2003 feud. But the difference is Shawn Michaels actually drew more money. Chris Jericho has failed to move the needle a ton for AEW, at least more often than not. Oh, he's the demo god. The demographics and all that shit. Okay, great. Chris Jericho's managed to do that kind of stuff. Great. Congratulations, Chris. You're still at about 700 some odd thousand, even with you on the goddamn show. So you aren't moving the needle all that goddamn much. AEW has a real fucking chance to make things succeed, and they just fail to fucking do it. They fail to fucking do it because they keep shooting themselves in the goddamn foot. And Chris Jericho being allowed to even compete in the goddamn ring, it's not even sad at this point. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to wrestling. He is an embarrassment to professional wrestling. And he's an embarrassment to humanity. I wonder what he thought of the Capitol riots. And by the way, just one little quick thing before I continue, with the rest of this review. If you approve of anything that happened in the Capitol riots and you think that, Trump got screwed or whatever, if you happen to be a Trump supporter, and I don't mean if you're a conservative, I don't mean if you're a Republican, I don't mean any of that. If you are a Trump supporter, you get the fuck off my channel. You never come back. You don't deserve happiness. You don't deserve anything good in your life. Your kids should leave and they should abandon you and you should end up, rotting alone and afraid. And hopefully that happens to Chris Jericho because Chris Jericho has proven that he doesn't give two flying fucks about what anybody else thinks because he would rather be the embarrassing piece of shit that he is rather than admit that giving 40 grand to Trump was a mistake and endorsing Trump was a fucking mistake. And not that he's the only wrestler that did that, but no, he decided to just be a worthless piece of shit. And Chris Jericho has fucking nuked his career, and I don't care what happened to Chris Jericho now. So I'm going to say this. It was messy. It was sloppy. By the way, they announced Omega and Good Brothers versus Mox, Pac, and Phoenix for next week. Or no, that's actually at Beach Break in 2 weeks. And we get a dreaded roll-up on Sammy, and MJF gets the victory. So it's MJF and Chris Jericho going for the tag team championships. That's all I got to fucking say about that. This was an embarrassing episode of Dynamite. Fucking embarrassing. And it's really sad because I want Dynamite to succeed. But yeah, I make no apologies for what I said about Chris Jericho. He's a fucking idiot, a fucking goddamn dweeb, and a fucking aging rock star, and a goddamn idiot. And a wrestler who stayed around about 5 years too goddamn long. And he's basically the equivalent of a human waterbed. And yet he wants to say that he's just bulking up and he's just doing this shit, because he wants to be like an old bruiser. No, Jericho, you're just fucking old. You're the has-been, and you're going to soon be the never was, because all you're going to be remembered for is what you fucking did at the end of your career in AEW, that goddamn sad sack of shit that just didn't know when to hang it up. Anyway, agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.